Hey, Hip Hop Marvels podcast. You on that? Your friendly neighborhood plug for all things hip hop and Marvel.
I do amazing things. Listen to my rendition of a Hot 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
It's crazy because around the same time Hardware came out. Matter of fact, the first comic I bought was Static. And Static was on the cover. It was like the old he wasn't even called Static Shock. He wasn't even called Static Shock. He was just called Static.
Just changed Static,
This motherfucker had a Malcolm X hat on, bro. Like this motherfucker had a trench coat and a Malcolm X cap on, nigga. Like fucking shit up. I was like, yo, that was the illest shit I seen as a kid. So then
I meant to ask. Damn, keep going, T. Keep going. I just thought of something in my head right quick. I gotta ask Terry and Brandess. Well, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying then I go down the aisle of the comic shop. Then I see this group called Blood Syndicate. You know what I'm saying?
I remember Blood Syndicate.
A team of blacks like superheroes. Then you had Icon, which is like a black Superman. You had Rocket, which was like his sidekick and shit. Hell yeah, man. Like Milestone was the shit. I think one of the prominent characters out of Milestone was Static Shock. They made cartoons of that shit. And Static Shock got like a fucking cult following with the generation now. Yeah, I know you know.
When I was a kid, that was one of my favorite shows. I know. Cartoons and cereal.
See, that's
Kendrick
how
style.
Right. That's crazy. Right. That's crazy how you know about him through the cartoon, but I know about him like the first fucking comic book. This motherfucker had a Malcolm X hat, like a cap. That shit was the hardest shit I ever seen, bro. And then
I remember that.
Then I go down a little bit more, and then this don't even have nothing to do with Milestone, but it had something. It was very important to me because it was showing me that damn superheroes do look like me. But I seen Brother Man, the Brother Man comic for the first time. That shit was hard. I'm like, yo, Static Shock. But I seen the Brother Man comic. You know what I'm saying? It was his face. He had like a mask on and had a B on top. You know, almost like Captain America has the A on his forehead. He had a B for Brother Man. And I thought that was the illest name. I thought that was the illest superhero name, like Brother Man. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, that was it was crazy, man. That whole time, shit. My mom, I said if they do a documentary about me, my mom definitely will attest to like, yeah, this nigga, I had to spend a lot of money on comics with this nigga, like for real.
I was gonna ask, like when I was a kid, really when I moved to North Carolina, I got North Carolina in high school. My mom was from North Carolina, but we didn't start living in North Carolina permanently until like 9th grade, and we had a shop here called the Dragon's Lair. And that's where my comic shop was, and where to get comics was. I was going to ask Brandess and Cherry.
Oh, where they get their joint?
I don't know if Brandess went to the same spot you did, T. But she could have a different spot. And I was going to ask where was their comic spot when they first started collecting or getting into it heavy?
See, like my age was the internet. If I wanted something, Google.
Yeah, you gotta realize, Terry's on. He had the convenience. He didn't even have to leave his house to go hunt shit down. Like that shit was right there. As far as like Brandess, like for me, the comic book shops I'm talking about were in Jersey City. That's when I moved. You know what I'm saying? So, but they did have a comic shop
in Bordentown.
And they did. The one downtown.
And I used to live. I used to live on top. I used to live on top of where the old one used to be.
Did you live on top of there while?
No, when I got grown, I had an apartment. When I had my daughter, I moved on top of where the old one used to be. It's some kind of store now. I think it's a beauty salon now. But
that's crazy.
It used to be.
You know who else in my family lived there too? The same exact spot you lived at.
Yeah.
My my sister Brittany.
Yes, yeah. It was a comic book store. That was the comic book store I used to go to, and then he started selling sports cards and stuff like that too, I guess, because but it was the comic book store, and it had the sports memorabilia and stuff in there too. But I remember going in there. Then there was a place near the mall, Quaker Bridge, that I used to go to. And
you talking about the one inside? You talking about the one inside Quaker Bridge, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the spot. That was the fucking spot, nigga. That shit.
Okay.
That was the spot. The one downtown you're talking about, that was the spot too. That was like we were younger when that shit was up. And I remember they had comics there. And then, like you said, yeah, they started selling like trading cards. I remember I used to get because I'm big into like the fantasy type shit. So one of my favorite fantasy artists is Boris Vallejo, and him and his wife Julie Bell, and they had a series of like trading cards with like the fantasy type shit. Like he done a lot of shits like for like fantasy novels and shit. Like the shit, you know, the paintings that look like real, but it'd be like dragons and like warriors fighting them, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shit like that. Crazy shit like that. And he used to sell those. I used to get those from there. Remember they had Pogs. Remember them shits?
Yeah, because I used to get the Pogs. I don't know why I like.
I don't know why I got them.
So
I got them. I never played the Pogs game.
Expensive ones too, like the gold ones.
Gold
with the
shits.
hologram. So I was like, I used to convince my mom to give me this like extra money so I could go down there and get them. And I don't know why I wanted those things so bad, because I usually went in there I beelined it for the comic books, but he always had them. He always had them sitting in the front, and I was like, oh, they're shiny, and I want it, and I just wanted those things.
I had the meanest collection myself, like playing at the arcade, and you'd win them out of the machines and shit. Yeah,
yep. He had the Pogs there, and he had like trading cards and shit. And I used to, for some reason, I never played that. It was a game, but I just collected. I
didn't know how to play it. I just collected.
They had I ain't never played Pogs in my life. I know I had a lot of Pogs though. Like,
and then I remember that he started selling the Pokemon cards, and I remember always buying my brother and my sister the Pokemon cards. Because they would always be like, "Oh, can you take me to go get the Pokemon cards?" And I always had to walk with her because they got on my nerves. Like Blair, Blair gets on my nerves constantly. On everybody's nerves. So she would always make me take her to go get the Pokemon cards, and I hated that. Like I hated Pokemon up until Pokemon Go. I don't know why.
Hey,
I was so invested with Pokemon Go. I don't know why I was so invested. I was grown as hell walking around with my daughter and my husband playing Pokemon Go.
In the middle of the goddamn street about to get hit by a car. Like, I gotta get this motherfucking Charizard.
Look, me and my husband be sitting there, and my husband be like, oh, Charizard down the street. We start running down the street.
Yo, that shit was the craziest shit. You know the crazy part? Like when you had the base setups, everybody would meet there. You be seeing motherfuckers on their phone with their face down.
Yo, how about I met Stacy at one? I was like, yo, Stacy. She was like, yo,
that was the craziest shit right there. But yeah, that comic shop had everything, man. Like you said, that's when they got the Pokemon shits in. I was big on especially being in regional. Being around all the white folks in the suburbs, I was big in the magic cards when them shits came out.
Mm-hmm.
I was into the magic cards, fucking playing Dungeons and Dragons with the fucking the multi-sided die and shit. Like I was for real. I was into all that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was
and that's something I never got into. I never got into Dungeons and Dragons. I never got into Dungeons and Dragons.
I was into Dungeons.
If you live where we live, yeah.
That's facts.
If you live, it was just you had to be one. Basically, you had to be one. So basically, we learned a lot from
Yes.
From the Caucasians.
Yeah, for real.
It was like, and they was willing to teach it. We just enjoyed it. It was entertainment. It was entertainment.
Yeah, we did. We learned a lot from them, man. Like, no, that's how it was in the suburbs. You talking about suburbs?
I mean, honestly, I had to learn the same way because, like I said, black kids weren't reading comics like that where I lived. Like I said, I was in the military. I mean, not me in the military. My pops was in the military, so we're moving around. And I mean, the first time I went to a comic shop was because of a white friend I had at the time, David Higuera, 5th grade. I can't remember the name of the shop for nothing in the world right now, but it was in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was just like my mind was just completely blown. It was just like comics, just like wall to wall. You don't understand at the time where, you know, at the time I'm getting my comics from like the 7-Eleven, you know,
right
on the, you know, up the street,
like the pharmacy and shit. Like, local pharmacy or your corner store and shit. Like,
I didn't know nothing about bagging and boarding or nothing like that till I went to a comic shop for like the first time. Then I told you my story about the first time I went to a comic convention, you know, and Jim Shooter was there. This is before these guys are like super huge, you know. Jim Shooter's there, Frank Miller is there. I want to say George Perez was there. He was like one of my favorite artists. George Perez is what also led me to liking more DC titles because, you know, he was drawing for the Avengers, but then he also drew art for like the Justice League and Batman and Batman and the Outsiders and the Crisis. He was the artist for the Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was a huge book at the time. Like really like the first, I guess you could say the first revamp in comics. You know what I'm saying? Where, you know, at the time DC had like 2, 3, 4 Supermans. You know, really DC was the first one to really have a multiverse, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, they did.
You know, with Earth 1, Earth 2, you had Earth S, you had Earth X, all these different Earths before the Crisis, you know, consolidated all the Earths together. I mean, Marvel, as far as Marvel's multiverse, there was really just like, I guess you could say,
it's not as vast as DC. Yeah, it's not as vast.
Well,
like
it was
DC
really only 2 at the time. It was really only 2 at the time. You had like the one Earth we had, and then you had the other Earth with the Squadron Supreme.
Yeah,
but that was it. It wasn't like no 10. It was no 10, 12 Earths like that.
Yeah, but that's what I don't understand. It's like I knew that DC was the first to come with the multiverse, but why aren't they utilizing that in the movies? And I just like. And they're not doing, and I know I know Snyder Cut was trying to ease that in or something like that, and I know Flash is supposed to be starting it. The Flash movie. I heard that.
That's one of the books I actually want to get you or recommend for you to. I actually saw that the comic book. I actually was about to get it. I actually was about to get it today to read it all over again, but instead I got this.
I saw that the Flash movie is supposed to. Yeah,
I got this.
The zombies.
Oh,
yeah. I got this instead because I read it a while ago, but I wanted to rehash on shit because this shit right here, like especially after watching that that What If, like this shit right here, bro. Like this shit could be a real good Marvel MCU movie, bro.
We've had that conversation so many times,
bro. But I was gonna get. I'm talking about Flashpoint. You know, Flashpoint, but actually Flashpoint Paradox. That's a dope ass fucking like storyline with Flash. Like if you're looking for something from DC to read, Brandess, like that, I recommend that one. I recommend the Aquaman run by Jeff Johns. Like I think it came out. I want to say it came out in did it come out in 08? I want to say it came out in 08. I'm trying to look it up now to see when it came out. I can't find it when it came out. But yeah, it's the Aquaman run that Jeff Johns did. That shit is dope.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, there's a bunch of shit that I mean, of course you know about the Watchmen. That's DC as well. That's DC as well. That's a great yeah. Watchmen.
You know what? DC is about to do it again as far as a character coming from a different I guess you could say a different series or a different timeline as far as DC, kind of like how they did with Harley Quinn, the Harley Quinn character coming from the Batman animated series. I'm hearing soon they're gonna start featuring Sister Knight from the Watchmen series on HBO in the comics.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I actually I like the character. I thought the character was dope on the show. I thought the show was dope, period. I mean, even though they decided to cancel it, I thought the show was dope. It was definitely what I felt better than the movie. I mean, the movie was just basically the comic. The movie was just the comic word for word, basically frame by frame.
Right.
I definitely liked the original writing as far as the series on HBO. I thought that was dope.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. Like DC got some. They got some shit though, but for me, like, I don't know, Marvel is just where it's at. Marvel is more relatable. I think that's what it is. It boils down to.
Yeah.
Marvel is just more relatable. It's more, it's like, it's not too complex. It's lamest terms. You know what I'm saying? It's just like relatable shit.
I think this multiverse thing is definitely going to start throwing some people off.